Hello. Really quite a lot been done this time. The whole trailer, the whole bed of the trailer put together, as you can see. And I've done steps 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Okay. And we'll stop before we do step number 10. In step 5, I built all of this and put all of the suspension units together. However, it says to glue them on now and then glue them into this chassis member, the main frame that runs down the centre of the trailer. If you do that, then you're never going to be able to paint the inside of that trailer or any of these bits. It's going to come out a real mess. What I've done, as you can see, if you look inside it there, painted the steering gear in black, and the inside of the frames are all in black, and then the inside of the chassis is in green. If you tried to do that when that was all put together, you'd have no chance. You'd have to paint it all one colour and try and spray inside. Where's my pen? Try and spray inside all of these chambers here that hold the steering gear in. If you could do that, excellent. I don't think you'd be able to. So what I've done is I put this together and then painted it, primed it with green, NATO green. Then I've assembled all of these units which go with these fit inside of. Painted them all black, matte black. Then assembled the rest of the bed of the trailer, putting these bits on. I'll put some photographs on of how I'd put it together, and it really needs clamping all the way along here. I'll show you how I did that. Put all the bits in, then finished it all off and put all the bits on there. Yeah. Then what I did, before I fixed this centre section on, I placed all of these on and stuck them in place with a little bit of blue tack. I love blue tack. So that when I painted it, so they're all these were put into place. Oops, sorry. All these were put into place. Okay. Then when it's painted, I've taken them all back off again, because you can't put this on while they're on. So they have to be taken back off again. So, but what it saved me was masking out all these areas to put these frames on. If they were in place and then spray painted it, don't need to mask it anymore. Now I can just lift them off and it painted the whole thing. Then I glued this into position and glued these supports in, the beams that go across in. Okay, and to be fair, I think that's come out pretty well. It looked quite good. Then all of this, when you put it all together, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, turn it that way around. All of these should turn and act as a steering unit, yeah, and that go back and forth. Then you would have tie rods that go onto each axle and in turn actuate the steering on the axles. A couple of bits of tubing on there, hose as they call it, and on the other side here. Bit of a strange one. There's nothing to fasten it to at this end. It just glues onto the chassis member. This end goes onto the ram, the connections on the ram. Likewise on this side. fairly straightforward. If you follow the instructions on those, fairly straightforward. Put it all together, and again masked out the ends of these pieces here so that I can stick the tubes on. And I've already set the tubes here, you may be able to see. Those are little tiny pieces of tube, and I'll push another piece of tube inside it, and that will form the airlines to the axles. How well the axles will turn when they're put on here, how well it'll steer, not turn, is anybody's guess. Especially seeing as this last one here isn't connected to these. It looks like it's a fixed axle, which is a little strange. It's normally the front axles that are fixed. But anyway, we'll sort it out. That is the front. We'll sort it out as we go along. There are a couple of bits that have changed. Bits that have changed are these along here, and P33 goes into that P34, and they make 10 of them and then glue them onto the sides, and they're lashing points. The thing with them is that P33 is so fragile. It's a tiny thin piece of plastic. If you want to do it as a diorama of any kind, I want to put a tank on it when it's finished, and the tank will be chained down to the trailer bed as it would be in real life. If you put any pressure on that, it's going to snap. It's just not, there's no strength in it whatsoever. It's a really thin piece of plastic. So what I've done is I've changed those, and I've formed, well, you can see them there, with some steel wire that goes round and back in there, and I've formed those into lashing loops. Okay, and when I paint them a darker aluminium, it'll look more like steel. I've also done the same with the top, and I've put steel lashing hooks on the top there. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, and they move up and down. So that's where the tank, when I eventually put one on, will go to, and I can put a little bit of pressure on that so that the chains, the cross chains at the back and at the front, will look realistic. They will look taut, whereas if you fasten it to the plastic ones, I don't think they would. I think it'd fail down. And for the extra hour that it took me to make 6 of those and 10 of those, I think it's well worth it personally. Because I'd started it at the front on the top, I've continued it through the back. There's little steel rings on there on both sides. Really easy to make. Just a piece of steel wire, 1 mil, 0.75 mil, whichever you prefer, and bend it round the end of a cocktail stick, something like that. Anything that's the diameter that you want, just twist it round and then cut it off each end, and there's your ring. Simple as that. What else have I done here? As you can see, it's all painted, it's all primed. I don't think there's much more that I need to tell you about that. I've not put any of the lights on it yet. There's very little photo etch on here. There's 2 pieces that go on there, and I think that was all there was, the 2 pieces. I'll paint those as I go along. I've mentioned before they need to be painted. That one will be orange, and that one will have an orange marker light in it. So they need to be painted green, black, whatever you want to paint them, and then a little bit of white or silver where the reflector would go, because if you don't, they look really dull. Looks as though there's a massive amount of tubing on there. Perhaps I'm going a bit too far by painting the clips that hold the pipe work on with little black bits, but I think it looks about right. Other than that, I don't think there's that much more to say about it really. I've mentioned the bits of tube here that will connect to the axles. Couple of lights on the back there, as you can see. Again, I've painted the silver on the inside of them. Sorry, you can't see that. Painted the silver inside of them, ready for the lenses to go on. They'll be red. and the casements, the holders for the lights, are black. I've left the legs out. There's 2 legs that go in there, obviously to stabilise the trailer when you drive a vehicle up onto it, and I'm going to paint those black before I put them in there and then fix them in. And that is about it. Quite a short one, really quite easy to do that. When I do the next bit, which is putting all the axles together, is putting all the dollies together for the axles, okay, and then putting all the tubing in. That's going to be fun, isn't it? When I've done that, I'll do another video and let you know how I get on. Ta-da!